Welcome to Season 4 of E-commerce Fastlane. This podcast helps resilient entrepreneurs thrive with Shopify. And now, on to episode 217.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
You know something? Accidents can happen to your Shopify store. Maybe you installed an app and it messed up your theme, or a store collaborator deleted product images by mistake. The common myth is that Shopify has a backup that you can use when something goes wrong. The truth is, they don't. So what do? You use Rewind to protect your store with automated backups. The Rewind app should be the first thing you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or even collaborators gone bad. It's honestly like having your very own magic undo button. And it's trusted by over 100,000 businesses, from side hustles to the biggest online retailers like Gatorade and Movement Watches. It's even a Shopify Plus certified app partner, which means it has the reliability, security, and privacy you need to protect your brand. Install the Rewind app today and respond to any of their welcome emails and mention the E-commerce Fastlane podcast, and you'll get your first month absolutely free. Enjoy peace of mind with Rewind backups. Find it in the Shopify App Store or by visiting rewind.com. So hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the E-commerce Fastlane podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, this is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store, powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. If you're an ambitious, lifelong learner, you're definitely in the right place today. New episodes are available twice weekly with your favorite podcast players like Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and many more. You can also stream current episodes, including a very relevant back catalog, directly from ecommercefastlane.com. Now, my guest in today's episode, we're super excited, is Yasmin Nozari, the co-founder and CEO from a company called Peel Insights. And they're an automated business analysis system that's built for Shopify and Shopify Plus brands. Peel, what it does is they manage all the data and they monitor the metrics by segments, and they assist in building some decision-making processes for all different types of teams, not just the C-suite, but all the way down through marketing. It's really interesting. It's a great conversation. Early on, I learned about this tool. We kind of put on the back burner as they were kind of getting some MVP. It's very, very interesting, kind of the iteration that's happened in the last 6 months since I've last spoke with her. So welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We've been messaging each other for so long, so it's so nice to finally be here. Woohoo!
I know. You know what? It's one of those things is that there's, I think as of today, there's more than 6,000 Shopify apps in the Shopify App Store. And there are the notable app partners, ones that have been around for quite a while or have maybe matured up to a Plus certified app partner. And they're in that kind of realm. And I think there's 50 or 60 or so kind of doing their thing in there. But now I'm doubling up my episodes now, doing twice a week. And so, for the last, 3 years or so, it's been one show a week. So it's pretty easy to kind of rotate through the kind of Plus technology partners, but it's really great now. I get to expand my reach a bit and say, hey, you know what? There are some notable and some up and coming app providers out there that are really making measurable impact with Shopify brands. Peel Insights, in my opinion, is doing that today finally. And so that's why I finally said, okay, that's it. We're doing it. We're going to record it. We're going to share it to the world, because I guarantee you there's going to be a ton of people that don't understand what it is that you do. These insights. Okay, reporting tool. Okay, I got that already. I can go to Shopify admin. No. This is a lot more than that. So there is, and more to do, and there's more to analyze. And so there's a lot of stuff going on here. So let's talk maybe first on a high level, like what does the Peel Insights tool do and the problems that you're solving now for Shopify brands?
Sure. So Peel automatically computes over 100 metrics across hundreds of segment dimensions for teams. So we are a one-click app from the Shopify App Store, and everything, all the analysis across all the segmentation is automatically populated. And you can just click around and see the different visualizations in your data across all of these metrics. So it is really for teams that don't want or don't need to do any technical skills. And the onboarding, the data preparation, the customization of metrics is fully automated.
Yeah, I love that part. I know originally the tool was, hey, we're going to find some important KPIs and we're going to push them out to Slack, I think was the initial kind of channel.
Yeah, that was our MVP. We were sort of inspired by the daily reports that we get from news alerts and stuff. And we're like, we'd always want this. And when we were working in previous roles, we're like, why can't we just see the top stuff every single day quickly? So we were just tinkering around with ideas, and it was a good MVP to do it through the Slack app. So we didn't have to build an interface. And as product people, we're always just trying to like test out ideas. And I think that's when you found us. It was like very early on. And now we still have the daily report. We also support email. So if you're not on Slack, you can get an email to you daily. But in the past year, we've really just been developing our web view where all of the metrics can be visualized and you could filter into the segments and you could really play around with your data and then save those reports and revisit them by putting them in dashboards. So you could share them with teams and whatnot.
This is great. So let's talk a little bit about the journey. I'm always fascinated why people build what they build. You know, a lot of times it's not just, I want to get a SaaS company because I want MRR, I want this monthly recurring revenue, and that's just, I want to build a company to make money. I think there's a lot more to it than just the MRR part of the business. I think the exchange of money is a very small amount of money for like a tremendous amount of value that the end consumer, the brand owner gets out of what's being revealed. Having a standard operating procedure, so to speak, of going to the web view or getting the daily reports or using the Slack integration, whatever that may be, whatever works for their kind of a team and environment. I think it's very interesting, but I just would love to understand about just you and your co-founder, like specifically, like why build this thing? And then where's the desire coming from? Where do the expertise come from? You say you're product people, but let's share that story so we understand more about it.
My co-founders and I, the other two are engineers and fairly focused in data engineering, and I'm on the product side, and I'm considered the non-technical user. So, but we always work together on lots of different products, and we worked together at our previous company, and we work with data all the time, and we had to use it to make decisions because we need to build out our product roadmap and understand what were the levers in the business. Just with anybody who's done anything with data, you know it's a bit of a broken process. It's not scalable. It's not cost efficient. Anytime you do something in Excel or any spreadsheet, it becomes dated and not the most recent data. It's hard to collaborate on things. And so it was just like, why is this so hard? You know, why is this so tedious? And then also for really high level analysis, if you need technical help, it was just so tedious to get in the queue to get more support from a data engineer. That was our thinking. And we really like data. And we also want more teams to feel empowered by it so they can use it to make decisions. And it shouldn't be so siloed in one department. And then also all the segmentation. So all the levers of the cities or the discount codes or the products. And like, what are those things that are really moving in your business that you might not be thinking about, but you can quickly see instead of having to do a bias query. So that's where our background is and or I guess where the interest came from. And just because we use data all the time, we just thought it would just be, oh, how do we optimize this? And how do we get more people to use it and make it easier for them?
Yeah, this is lovely because I think that's the big challenge right now is that, you know, people look at the Shopify admin and they go into the analytics tab and yes, there's lots of very interesting reports and things that are in there. And yes, there's some filters and stuff like that, but you take it as significantly much further as far as what's available and creating your own custom dashboards and things. Shopify doesn't really have that flexibility. We create what we believe to be some unique and some impactful reports, you know, for the masses. But the reality is I think every brand is different. And I think every brand has certain use cases for your tool. And then, and then the whole idea is through the filters. I mean, you have 100 pre-made ones, but being able to set up and save reports that are important for the business, for the operations of the business, and then save them. Like overall, that sounds like a better operating or standard operating procedure for me, knowing that yes, we have some basic ones here that we believe are important and impactful. However, we know there's nuances in your business. So go ahead and make those with your help or just playing around with the tool and saving them. And then they're always available.
Yeah. And stuff like repurchase rate by cohort and whether you want to know what's the repurchase rate by specific product or by a discount code. And then you go back and having the context of your business and your brand, you're like, okay, what did we do to promote those products or those discount codes? What were the campaigns related to that? Now, this is the success of that. This is not successful. How do we change this? Or how do we keep replicating it? That's what Peel tells you out of the box. And so having that type of information is very, very valuable. And Shopify doesn't have the cohort analysis stuff. You have to download it. So you have to download the CSVs, and then you have to migrate it with other data sources like your marketing spend and do a lot of analysis to get a full picture. But Peel has integrations with the different marketing platforms, so you can pull all that together and see all the data mashed up, which is also very valuable.
So let's dig under the hood a bit. I think sometimes it's hard with a visual product to be able to on a podcast, but I still think that there's ways of just sharing with the audience today about like what exactly this solution can do. Like, let's just assume that maybe a brand, today makes a decision. Yes, I want just-in-time reporting. They believe it's necessary. They like what's in Shopify, but you're right. The cohorts and other different uniqueness, instead of getting other tools for exporting CSVs and trying to massage all the data, you kind of got a lot of that figured out already. So what are you finding as the most popular reports based on, your number of customers that are using your tool today?
Everyone wants to know what their customer LTV is. And so they're like, what is it? I want to know what it is. We don't give you a blended number because it's so varied and that would be just not accurate, but you can look at it by cohort. So what is, your customer LTV within the first month of somebody being acquired or 6 months later? Has it grown? And what are you doing to do that? And then you can slice that by any of the dimensions that you have from your data sources, whether it's like, what's the customer LTV for people who bought this product? What is the customer LTV for subscribers, people who are just subscribers if you have a subscription business, or for transactional customers, or who are from California? So that's really, really valuable. And that's all in Peel. And then after that, I would say people really dig the repurchase rate metrics, or the repeat orders rate per cohort, or the AOV per cohort, or the gross margin rate. Everybody is the same, but different, and they all want to see different numbers, and everyone's business is a little bit different. But the metrics that they need to understand growth are pretty standard. But there's so many ways to look at it through the segmentation. So Peel has all those metrics, and then you just look at it through the segmentation. But I would say the go-to would be LTV, customer lifetime value, and repurchase rate are the most popular, and are at least the good entry-level cohort analyses to dig into.
Now, what about inventory? Because I know that a lot of brands struggle a little bit. I know if you're using the inventory and the location inventory inside Shopify, it's obviously a data field. There's obviously mapped to all the orders. And maybe that's part of an RFM modeling, this recency frequency monetization kind of a strategy. Does Peel integrate it all in anything to do with inventory? Because I ask is because I think there's lots of people who are self-fulfilling, or they're thinking for the future about the forecasting opportunities that could be available. Just curious on kind of how you position the product around inventory.
We don't have inventory integrations yet. Our main focus has been on revenue analysis and looking at your revenue numbers, and then digging into a lot of the marketing stuff. So what money are you making and what money are you spending? There are a few metrics that can give you slight ideas of inventory, but we don't have any integrations with inventory partners yet. But we could one day, but not now.
First party data, inside Shopify, I would say there's a wealth of knowledge in there for sure. Some is already created in reporting. It's available. Others, you can get the data out through APIs, and that's kind of what you're doing. But the challenge is just extracting it and getting it into a meaningful way. I know we talk about like CSV files and trying to merge different fields and stuff. Pretty much nightmarish if you're trying to get what you need for your business. I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a few aha moments with a lot of Peel Insight users, I would imagine. And are you able to share maybe some notable kind of segmentations that are being used today by Shopify brands?
Sure. So I think I've mentioned this already when I've been rattling off, but discount codes is really interesting. So looking at your lifetime value of a customer by whether they use discount codes or not, if that's a part of your marketing strategy or your team strategy, and what discount codes. So I'm based in New York City, and before COVID, when people rode the subway a lot, the subway commerce brands were always advertising on the subway. And you would always see, use code subway or NYC10 or NYC20. And that's a great attribution hack too, discount codes, because you see those and, somebody will like, okay, I'm going to buy this thing and I'm going to use the code subway or NYC15 or whatever. And now, the business owner can see where those people are coming from. And if that people who use that discount code, who rode the subway, who saw that ad that they paid for, what their lifetime value is and what their repurchase rate is and their number of repeat orders and how that is helping to grow the business. So then they can replicate other campaign models. So I think understanding those types of things are, the segmentation's always aha moment, but like digging into the discount code, that would be one. And, first product purchases, whether you're a subscription business or not, like slicing the data in those ways and being able to tell the story that subscribers overall have this higher lifetime value than non-subscribers, or people who brought this product versus the other product, which we really promoted in this month, actually turned out to be great because they have a higher lifetime value or they have a best repurchase rate. And 40% of their cohort comes back within 3 months to buy more again. And those stories are just like, whoa. And then another thing I think would be payment gateway. So, we always hear about the financing options like Affirm, Afterpay, and Klarna. And so the experiment, brands are like, should I use that? Should I not? And so you could find out quickly in Peel, does it boost the sales, orders, the repurchase rate? Because that's another out-of-the-box segmentation that Peel offers. So that's also very interesting to look at.
One thing to add too, you mentioned about the financing options. I know as of late, Shopify, I guess they signed an interesting agreement, I think, with Affirm as being their installments kind of payments partner through ShopPay. And so I guess the official language is ShopPay installments. And that's a very seamless kind of connection now with Shopify. So it's very interesting. So for those listening today, if you're on Shopify payments, and if you're not, you should be, just because there's so many people that use Shopify payments and the Shop app for tracking your orders. But then, getting involved now with installment payments is really helping improve what your tool is going to show. It's going to improve the average order size because you can divide it up into 4 equal payments without any interest. And so your average order value goes up. Your lifetime value goes up, your conversion rate goes up because it's more affordable now with 4 kind of micro payments every 2 weeks. So neat little feature and very seamless, all happening without having to hyperlink off to Afterpay or Klarna offsite and then webhook back. It stays on Shopify now through ShopPay installments. So pretty cool. Okay, so we've understood a few things so far. So we have the metrics that are important. So we talked about a few of those, and now we talked about segments and the different cohorts and stuff. Let's talk about how someone can get started. So they believe that these things are important. I like the metrics. I like the idea of slicing and dicing the cohorts. What's the next step?
You just do a one click from the Shopify store. That's all you do. The setup is so frictionless, partly because as somebody had to use tools all the time, you just have to really be motivated to get involved with a new tool. And we really just wanted the onboarding to be like one click, and then they just have to wait because the data has to download. And in that step, you can, optionally add your Slack integration. You could add some other few data sources, but again, they're just a few clicks. And then you wait 12, 24 hours, depending on how much data you have. And then the reporting will be ready for you the next day. And all the metrics across all the segments for you to explore. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to write any code. You don't have to do anything to set up. So that's, I think, a huge value add.
So that gets it rocket in there. And so easy to install, ingest your data. And then once this tool is activated, then from there, there's some, I don't want to say default, but there's a whole bunch of reporting that could potentially be valuable to someone using the solution. And then there's some learnings available about how we can start filtering and saving kind of custom, unique reports based on the needs of the brand.
We are very proud of our design. So we've updated it a bunch of times and we're always, love user feedback. So we hope that it's all self-serve, that you can easily just click on overall and see all the different segment values and nothing's really hidden. But we're also always available to answer questions that people have.
I was going to ask the question, but I think you've already answered it about, why do you believe that Shopify stores need Peel Insights as part of their tech stack? I think you've kind of already answered it, just, talking about the spreadsheets and kind of all the challenges and trying to duct tape what it is that you need. I get these conversations a lot with a lot of brands right now where they're saying, hey, how come this report is not available in Shopify? Well, probably because it's not listed as a merchant frustration yet, or not enough people are frustrated with the fact that it's not there, or there's not enough people that want it. You see a value in it. This customer could have whatever the reporting could be and the analysis that they require to do their job more effectively. I get it. Is there anything else that I'm missing about why you believe that maybe having it as part of a brand's tech stack would be important?
It's just, you can't use spreadsheets to grow your business. You can, that's not fair to say, but it just takes so much time. So instead of people spending 3 days building a report and downloading all the data and merging things, and maybe they'll have errors, it's right there for you. And the numbers are fresh. Like every day it's updated. We do a refresh on your data every morning at 1 a.m. while everyone's sleeping. So when you wake up, it's all available. There's lots of different reasons, but there's so much stories in the numbers where you could really understand instead of a gut reaction of what's actually happening, and using that knowledge to build better campaigns and to target more people, or to send, okay, this is the number of days between these two orders. Maybe I should send an SMS to get them to come back more often and see if that does anything. Or maybe they should join a loyalty program, or maybe we should offer one. And there's so many other things in the marketing world on how to get your customers to come back and buy more often. But the numbers are the baseline of how you sort of build out your experimentation plan.
I'm going to pivot a bit over to, it's kind of called the elephant in the room, but iOS 14.5 obviously is live now. There's even now grumblings about iOS 15. It's further going down this rabbit hole of the cookieless world and all this kind of craziness. And I don't think it's as crazy as maybe the media is making it up to be. I've had a couple webinars recently where other agency partners have talked about, what has changed since it's kind of been activated, and customers are now have the power in their shoes to be able to yes or no as far as being tracked and offering ads or not. But just curious from your end, what tips can you share with merchants? Number one, you get to be prepared for the fact that this is going to kind of be inevitable, and how your solution can kind of help.
Sure. So I would say that because the limitations will impact acquisition, looking at how to get the people that you've already acquired to purchase more and to come back is the key. So focus on improving your LTV from your ad-driven leads. Looking at your AOV or your LTV is the best way to understand the value these customers can bring over time. And that's just comes back to this classic cohort analysis. And Peel has this ready to go. So really focusing on the location, the product, the acquisition channel, the different campaigns that they came in on will help you get the answers that you need of how to get these people to come back and purchase more, since they're already there. So why don't you just try to reach them again and get them to buy more and more and more?
Yeah, retention strategy, that's the key. I think just in that's the other thing I learned recently too, is just the customer acquisition cost, this CAC they call it, continues to increase more because of the pandemic and stuff. There's more competition, more people selling online. I know retail is opening up more now with vaccines, and there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, but the reality is e-commerce adoption, people have learned over the last 18 months that they really enjoy buying online. And so knowing that, it's still super important. So I'm going to do one more pivot too, because I want to talk about the people that are listening today, because what's interesting is that because, 10 or 15,000 people are going to listen to this episode, what's interesting is that they're going to be a diverse range. Some people don't even have a store yet. Some people are on the early stage trying to get product market fit. Some are in the mid market. Some are enterprise on the Shopify Plus side, over $1 million or more in revenue. I just would love to, get some advice from you from what you see. You obviously get access to the same reporting, and you talk to customers that are using the Peel Insights, maybe help them with custom reporting and things like that, just to help them get over the hump of kind of yes, this is a great tool for me. Do you have any advice that you could give these brands today? I know it's kind of general term with lots of people, but assume they have a store, they've got a little bit of product market fit. So people know who they are, and they got social media, they got some basic things going. What advice could you give them if they're very eager to kind of grow and scale?
I would say know what your numbers are and try it out, and then figure out what your numbers are and understanding what are the levers in your business that are selling and not selling, or what's working and not working. Being informed, can apply to anything in this world, is always the best way to start. And learning about, maybe you don't feel that you're ready for understanding repurchase rate, but learning about how to think about that metric and what to do and who to target, and to try different experiments. So you say, okay, these people that we acquired in April, they're not repurchasing as much as previous cohorts. Okay, so then try something. You know who those people are. So maybe send a different email marketing campaign to them and see what that does, and just experiment, because that's the only way to, grow and expose yourself to new things.
What does the future look like for Peel Insights? Are you able to share your North Star, for the remainder of 21 and maybe even beyond that, partner alignment or innovation? Just end of the day, how will you continue to offer value and assistance for brands that really want to understand their data and they want to strategize around what your tool reveals?
Yeah, we started with the daily report, and then we have this huge web view with over 100 metrics, I think 104. And most of this came from conversations with brands. People will tell us, hey, we need to, some basic stuff like repurchase rate and LTV. Like, oh, okay, obviously we know we need to build those things. But then there's more higher level cohort stuff that came from conversations with brands of like, okay, this is the spreadsheet that I do. This is how I like to look at it. I would love this type of metric. And then we build it and we don't just build it for them. Every, single customer of Peel gets to use that. So always building out more metrics based off of customer feedback, based off of what merchants want is sort of always our roadmap plan. And then we have more integrations with the Shopify ecosystem since there's so many amazing tools out there and teams use them all the time. So let's use them in Peel and get the data. So it's a whole full picture as being a third party.
So I love the public roadmap. I think it's imperative, because there's so many unique use cases that you probably have never even heard of. And, it's thanks to customers before that actually are moving their product forward.
Well, that's so fun about product building is you get to talk to people and know what they want. And you're like, okay, sure, maybe 3 weeks. But we don't like to say to give it time because no one does. But yeah.
So we are nearing the end of the show for today. You've shared a lot, and thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there any takeaways or any next steps that you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
Yes, that data shouldn't be overwhelming and intimidating, that it's available for you and you can use it and you can learn to use it. And you don't need to be a technical expert to get access to it. And the data gives you so much information. So just try it and experiment and really dig into the higher level metrics that you're like, I don't even know how to do this in Excel, but you don't have to because tools do it for you.
Love it. So how can people learn more about Peel Insights? Where can they go and their next steps?
We're in the Shopify App Store. We also have our URL, peelinsights.com, but you could definitely just find us in the Shopify App Store.
Very cool. I know you have a lot of blogs and case studies and stuff. Actually, I subscribe to your blog, but the case studies are quite interesting too. Just getting unique use cases by vertical, I think, is quite unique. So I love that. I understand that you would like to offer, I guess, a listener-only bonus or promotion for those that got to the end of today's recording and want to kind of, just give the platform a spin to see if it's something that could fit into their workflow. And so can you share some of those details now?
Yeah. So we're offering a 30-day free trial for the listeners of the podcast. Typically it's 15 days, but you guys get 30. So you get a whole month to check it out.
Beautiful. So it'll be ecommercefastlane.com/Peel. That's Peel. And that will redirect you to the landing page that you've created for us today. And thank you very much for that. And so you'll be able to sign up on that link and get that 30-day trial. Really, at that point, it'll first of all, gets you into the onboarding sequence through Peel Insights. So you can understand some of the things that you can do, and then just gives you the right amount of time. Because what's really bad that happens sometimes when you download apps and things is sometimes people get excited at the beginning. They tend to lose some traction if it's not a habit. And I think that's what's important about your tool is that, hey, you know what? You got 30 days, try it out. The daily report is still there. So you're going to get that nudge. It potentially could give you a Slack ping. You'll know that this engine is working, as you said, in the middle of the night, doing what it needs to do in the background, knowing that every morning you wake up, it's going to have some nice fresh data in there. And then from there, you choose to go into the web view and take a look by week and compare that to the previous week. Whatever your use case is, at least you have a month now to actually try it out. And I just really appreciate that. And that, I'm sure that will help, just share the message that, you know what, retention strategy is important. And I call it a data and strategy driven approach to growing and scaling, I think is probably the theme that should probably come out of today's podcast. So just once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thanks for iterating on this product. Its time has come, and I'm excited to kind of where it's going to continue to grow based on getting feedback from Shopify brands. I'm going to be recommending this to a lot of brands that I manage as part of my monthly calls. So if they don't have good reporting, they now do. Once again, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. This was so fun. Thank you.
Now, this episode was brought to you by the team at Rewind. The common myth is that Shopify has a backup that you can use when something goes wrong with your store. The truth is, they don't. So what do? You use Rewind to protect your store with automated backups. The Rewind app should be the first thing you install to protect your store against human error, misbehaving apps, or even collaborators gone bad. It's like having your very own magic undo button. It's trusted by over 100,000 businesses, large and small. So enjoy peace of mind and install the Rewind app today. And make sure to respond to any of their welcome emails and mention the E-commerce Fastlane podcast, and you'll get your first month absolutely free. Learn more by checking out Rewind in the Shopify App Store or by visiting rewind.com. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.